Hey, what's going on, guys? TayJay Productions here. Today I'm in Muncie, Indiana, looking at dead retail locations like this Kmart sign behind me. This is crazy. There are quite a few locations to get into here today. This city has a rich history to it, especially when it comes to retail, and I'm excited to get into all of this with you today. All right, guys, come with me. And starting off right off the bat, I have to talk about this Kmart sign. Guys, I don't think I've seen a Kmart sign in a while. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a closed Kmart, but you can obviously still see it very distinctly right here. Wow, what a beauty. I did not expect this to still be here. It was kind of like I stumbled across it while I was on my way to the actual Kmart building, which we will get to here in a minute. But yeah, this Kmart sign, I had to stop and start the video right here. What a cool thing. But here is where the actual Kmart building stands today. It's a U-Haul storage facility now, but this did used to be a Kmart. Here's a photo of what it used to look like. Now present day. Not as exciting, is it? Here's a better view from the other side. Now, there's not too much to look at. Obviously, they remodeled it to a U-Haul facility, which I noticed a lot of them do that. However, this is the second Kmart to open here in Muncie. This Kmart opened on March 31st of 1977. And what's even more interesting about this location is it didn't start as a Kmart. It actually started as a Mason's department store in 1971. Mason's closed in 1975, Kmart remodeled, opened in 1977, and then this Kmart closed in late 2014. And of course, that was due to the significant financial losses that parent company Sears Holdings was facing at the time. However, like I said, this is the second Kmart to open in the city of Muncie. Now, the first Kmart has a really interesting story behind it. Let's take a look. And this location is actually the first Kmart that was here in the city of Muncie. And look at it. It really doesn't even look like a Kmart. So this is the Southside Muncie Kmart that opened on November 21st of 1968. This is the 271st Kmart that was opened in just their first 6 years of the company's operation in general. And then this location did close in April of 2003 after a Chapter 11 filing from the company that they were trying to restructure everything, and they did close down a lot of stores in that time frame. And this was one of them. So since 2003, this has not been a Kmart, so you wouldn't think there's too much to look at, but there's actually an interesting story here I want to get into real quick. So this Kmart was actually home to a slide that would be known as the Big Dipper. So basically in 1969, a guy named Bill Yoler, who was president of the Muncie Parks Board, was inspired to have a slide of his own like this when he was in St. Louis and saw one of these massive slides. And he was like, oh my God, there's a line of people waiting to go down this slide. We need to have one here in Muncie. The Big Dipper was constructed and it was 40 feet tall, 40 feet wide, and 200 feet long. Now, Bill wanted to put this in a park in the city, but residents kept complaining, you know, about the noise, the congestion, a lot of the parks being in their backyard. And there was this mysterious private developer, Joe Ray Enterprises, that ended up leasing a private land just north of the South Kmart location. And when I mean just north, literally right here. Okay, let's get closer to it. You see this area right here? That is all that's left of the Big Dipper slide. Now, the slide was put here in 1969, and by the mid-1970s, the novelty had lost its appeal. People were like, okay, whatever. And by the mid to late 1970s, the slide would cease operation, and it would just sit here abandoned for about the next 10 to 15 years. Now, in 1989, something happened here with the slide. So a couple kids got injured, actually. Yeah, when the slide was sitting here abandoned, some kids decided it'd be a good idea to ride a skateboard and a bicycle down the slide. They got hurt, and then the slide was declared a hazard. So they're like, we need to get this thing out of here. Now, this is where the story kind of ends with an unsatisfying ending. A campground owner in Ohio actually offered to remove the slide for free in exchange for parts, and he was said to He was going to reconstruct it at his campground in Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. No sign of him actually doing that existed, so this is all we got left of the Big Dipper slide today, is this little concrete slab. That's all we got left. Can you imagine a 200-foot long slide was here at one point though? And people were lining up, just waiting to go down the slide, while everybody else was in the Kmart right here, doing their shopping. How interesting. So yeah, as far as the Kmart building goes, there's really not much to look at. I mean, it's not been a Kmart since 2003. However, there's a CDL testing area in here now, a small engine warehouse corporate office. So they definitely have changed the building a lot. It has that interesting story though I wanted to tell you, but let's get on with it now. All right guys, now we've got to talk about the Muncie Mall. This mall is really struggling and we're gonna talk about it as I'm walking through. You guys already know how I feel about me taking a camera into these malls. Wish me luck. We did it before, we could do it again. Now the Muncie Mall here in Muncie, Indiana opened in 1970. This mall held brands such as W.T. Grant, Ellis Ayres, Ball Stores, KB Toys, Radio Shack, Sears, Macy's, and JCPenney. KB Toys closed in 2009, Radio Shack closed in 2015, Sears closed in 2018, Macy's and JCPenney closed in 2020. As of early 2026, the mall is roughly 92% vacant. The current owner, Whole Property Group, announced the entire mall will be fully demolished with the exception of the buyer's market spot. Now demolition is expected to begin sometime within mid to late 2026. I don't know when they're gonna do it, but walking through this mall is very important. Well, that's that. I about got halfway through the mall before security told me to stop taking, well, technically, all that happened was security officer walked up to me. She was real nice and she just said there was no photography. So I said, okay, turned around and walked out. So I got about halfway through the mall, got some good shots for you guys. That Easter bunny setup, that was where she got me. She was sitting in the jewelry store. I saw her, but I was just like, whatever. So, okay, moving on. There's a Party City here. I did not find the information on this one. The Party City wasn't on my list of stops for today's Muncie tour of Dead Retail. There's always a lot more than what I cover in one video, so if you guys want me to cover more, just tell me to come back and make a part 2. But yeah, this Party City was not on my list of stops today, but I had to stop because I literally was driving right by it. And how are you gonna not stop and just look at that label scar for just a minute? I mean, the Discount Party Superstore. Did you guys know that Party City kind of made a comeback in Staples? Yeah, they have like a kiosk in Staples now. Interesting business decision. Okay guys, let's talk about this Big Lots, shall we? As you can see, the Big Lots and Joann sign is still over here by the road. So this Big Lots opened in the mid to late 1990s here in Muncie. They moved in here during a big time in their business where they were really pushing that furniture and closeout business model that they would adopt. This location was officially added to the corporate closing list in October of 2024, and this store officially closed its doors on January of 2025. But if we could take a peek inside and see what we can see. Oh, they really gutted this one. Oh yeah, they really gutted it. Yeah, it looks completely gutted inside, guys. Now, of course, we have that dastardly window and window thing again, so it's kind of really hard to go all the way in there without just seeing my own reflection. But I did look through this door. Okay, so that's what we can see through here. Try to see if we can look through this other door. Well, it's just gonna... Yeah, the reflections do not do me any favors here, guys. Yeah, it's not gonna be very easy to look in there, but I will say it's probably safe to say this Big Lots probably tore out everything from what we could see. yeah, it looks completely gutted inside. The only thing that remains would be this decal on the front door here. Hunt for the best deals in every aisle. Not anymore. And then what's probably most notable of this location of still existing is the sign. They didn't take the sign down, which is interesting. A lot of places when they close, they do take the signage down. And being that this place gutted the entire interior, they didn't bother to take the sign down, which I think is really cool. Now, the Joann Fabrics here is an interesting one for sure. This Joann actually opened in late 1990s, around the same time that Big Lots opened next door. But this Joann actually was a large format Joann. It was one of the company's superstores, which were significantly larger than the older mall-based shops. These superstores included expanded sections for home decor and seasonal floral. And in May of 2025, as part of the company's final nationwide liquidation, this location closed along with all of the remaining stores. So apparently they gut these stores over here when they close.
Something cozy, someplace homey. Whatever you dream, you can create. At Joann, we have the inspiration, the notions, and ideas outside the box. And now, patio and garden accessories are 40% off. Come on out and play. Joann Fabrics and Crafts and Joann ETC.
Yeah, there's really not much to see in there. It's all gone. Now, right next to the Joann is a Chuck E. Cheese. And this Chuck E. Cheese has an interesting history to it. This Chuck E. Cheese was actually opened in December of 2003, 2 days before Christmas. And it is one of the last Chuck E. Cheeses that still exist without being remodeled to their 2.0 look today. This is what most people will remember it as. They didn't really do much upgrading to this location. So this location is pretty 90s, early 2000s vibe to it. And I just wanted to stop in and mention it real quick because while it's not dead, it's not closed, the Chuck E. Cheese brand is suffering. But let's hope that they can turn that around. They've done it before. Hopefully they can do it again. Please make good business decisions, Chuck E. Cheese. Do not be another one of these defunct brands. Anyway, moving on. Now tell me that you know what this store is. Oh yes, it's a Toys R Us, and I always ask you guys to guess because it's usually pretty obvious when it's a Toys R Us. Well, it used to be a Toys R Us. You know how this works. Yes, it is now an Ashley home store, but it was a Toys R Us at one point, and it had that classic blue front with the all glass door. Oh my God, it was beautiful, and I wish I could still see it today, but this is what we got today instead. And yeah, boring, gray, seems on point for commercial retail today. I did notice a lot of Toys R Us parking lots have these kinds of lighting fixtures. I don't know if that's like a thing or, I don't know. This Toys R Us opened in October of 1993. It closed on June 28th of 2018 following the bankruptcy where all of the stores were closed down. Now, some of you might have been around and inside the Toys R Us stores when the liquidation was going on nationwide. And this store in particular, this location in Muncie, there are photos of what it looked like inside the Toys R Us when it was being closed down. And I thought it was really cool that I found these photos online that you guys are looking at right now, but that is of the location that we are looking at together today here in Muncie. But regardless of what this store is today, I'll always be a Toys R Us kid. I wish it was still here. And finally, I don't even have to move my spot because just 2 spots over from this Toys R Us was another classic retail brand. And you guys are gonna know just by looking at it. Take your guess, take your guess. Now, if you said Circuit City, you are absolutely correct. This was a Circuit City and it has that classic front look to it that the Circuit City used to have. It's now a Ruler Foods, owned by Kroger. This Circuit City opened in the mid-1990s to compete with the Best Buy and Sears that are also in this town, Best Buy being right across the street. This Circuit City closed in February of 2007 during a downsizing phase that the company would do just 2 years before the entire company would go under. And what it is today, Ruler Foods moved in 2013 and is still here today. Well, that is it, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. There were quite a few locations to look at in Muncie, and there's always a lot more to look at. If you guys want me to come back and do a part 2, let me know. Same thing goes for any place I've ever been. Speaking of things you want more of, TayJay merch? You want a t-shirt, right? You can get a t-shirt on TayJayProductions.com. Definitely go in there, get yourself some, dare I say, swag, because a lot of people say that. And yeah, just look the part. Support me, support the creator, and yeah, I appreciate that. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video like I did, and until the next one, see ya. Bye-bye.